I am going to welcome you to our professional development session today, and to what most of us think of as the first day of the summer semester. It sure came quickly, didn't it? All right. So, and I'm delighted to have you join us. I am Judy Summers, and am with the Center for Online and Continuing Education as I present this session for you today. So we are going to be talking about what to do to get the beginning of the semester off to a really amazing start. And I've put down in here that I am simply a facilitator. You are the presenters, because it's your information that is really going to make this thing go beautifully. So let me just take a moment here. So our objectives for today are to get what your special tips are for getting your semester started. We are going to think about what we want to accomplish with that, about the why of it. We're going to take a look at some tips from the literature, some tips from practice, and some ideas from a couple of brilliant mentors that we have. And then take a closer look and see if you have added any new ideas to your toolbox. I took a guess on some of the things that you might feel were important, and for whatever reason, setting the tone wasn't a part of my thought process. So I'm glad that you've entered in there and put your comments in, because that is an important piece. Some of the things that I thought about were those first impressions. Oh my gosh, that is a really important piece of it, is how they're going to feel about the rest of the class based on what happens on that first day. You also want yourself to be comfortable, and you want them to feel comfortable in the class and be open and able to respond. I think one of the comments that you had in there was engagement. Setting the expectations, and I saw that in several places. And I've got the term peace up here. This is from one of, let me find my notes on it, because this was from one of the articles that I was reading through. And so the peace in this case, of course, we do, of course, know and appreciate the use of the term peace, but it's also an acronym. She says, and you may not at the moment get it. So I will find that acronym for you. So now, and this is another of what I was thinking about as the rationale, the why we do what we do, the pedagogy of everything. And several of these are things that you have mentioned. The course overview, setting the expectations for our students, and please feel free to make comments and speak up at any point. Setting the stage, setting the tone, where we are going and what it is we're going to accomplish along the way. The first impression, that again, that setting the stage, setting the tone, letting your students know that it is going to be an interactive class, that it's important for you as well as for them to get the feel for interacting, sharing things throughout the class, and making adjustments. We never know when we're going to encounter those elephants crossing the road. And when we do that, we just either take a different route or appreciate the beauty of the elephants, and thus finding joy in the journey that we are taking on this together. And the last image I have is a reflection showing that part of what we are doing in these first classes has to do with letting them know where the resources are, letting them know that it is a collaborative experience, and providing them with the guidance. So now I'm going to invite you to let Juan know if you would like to add something to that. Again, we're still talking about the why. We'll come back in just a moment to the Padlet about what all you do. Who would like to jump in there and step up to the plate and join in the conversation?
Thank you. So I really like that you're addressing this. The first day is very important. I think regardless if you're teaching a face-to-face or that first week you're teaching a fully online course, definitely first impressions. I like that you addressed the topic of, getting your students to feel comfortable. And the introductions, it's just, I really find that first day is so important because it sets the tone for what the students they get a feel of how this course is going to be. And I really, noting the expectations that you have, and is just so important. I think right from the get-go, being clear on what you're okay with, what you're not, how, the level of interaction you want to have with your students, reach out to me for questions. I really feel like it kind of puts them at ease and us as well as the professor.
One of the articles that I found spoke to address the fact that no matter how many times and how long we are teaching, stepping into that class the first day can be an apprehensive time for us as well as for the students. And if we acknowledge that and let them know, then we're all in this together. We are building that community. Yeah. And Nancy, thank you also for mentioning face-to-face or synchronous or even asynchronous. And what I'm going to do is ask everyone who's joining us to think in those terms of how some of the things we're going to be talking about can work either face-to-face or synchronous or even asynchronous. And some of the ideas that I have found and will be sharing with you, to me, the face-to-face is the first thing that comes to my mind. And yet, we teach in a variety of ways and will continue to be that way. So how we are able to transpose some of these ideas from one modality to another. And Juan, if you would please post the Padlet link again, we're going to go into that in just a moment and take a look at the ideas that we have thought about. Thank you, Nancy, and anyone else who would like to share, please feel free to join in. Meanwhile, I'm going to share a couple of things, some tips from literature and from practice. The introduction information, we've talked about ways of using what they post in that introduction in order to get to know more about them and so that they can get to know more about each other. One of the ideas that I had that I ran across as I was researching for this was an interest inventory. And this would be something that my go-to process would be Google Forms, but you could also do survey in your Canvas course and ask them some of this type of information with the Google form, and with the survey in the Canvas. it would be information that simply would be shared just with you, but to types of things that you might want to know and that you'll be able to put to use later on. The one that I have that says today we will, and when I first started that article, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why would I do that? On the other hand, as I read through the article, what the author did was to say that she had put a list on there of today we will. Here's essentially our to-do list for the day that we are working together, and then left it somewhere or another so that it stayed visible throughout the course. And that way, if you have students that are not, maybe coming late or, miss some part of it, they know that they will need to connect with someone and get that information. Again, part of that introduction would be to have them reach out to someone so that they have someone to connect with to find out information that they need to know. This is also a time, I think, and I've read a couple of things about it, that it's important to share your passion for what you do. You're in this field because it's important to you. And you're teaching because you feel like you would like to help your student, help it become important to your students as well. So be willing to be open and share your joy, share how you feel about it and why you're there. And so along those same lines, make sure that you are personal and you're being authentic. You're not doing these things to be, to try to make an impression on them, although you want them to get a good first impression, but you also want it to be genuine. You want it to be from the heart. And so Padlet, Slido, Flipgrid are things that we've talked about, using two of them today for sure, and things that are also a way of adding that enthusiasm and interest. In my mind, there's a couple of things that could well be done on Flipgrid posts that students could then respond to. And I'm going to jump over a mystery box in just for a moment and go to the teaching persona, the PEACE acronym. The P is for preparation, E is for expertise, A, authenticity, C, caring, and E, engagement. What is another really important piece of it is that there are some big ideas coming within the course, some things that are really fascinating things that are going to make a difference for them. So you could share some of those things, not as a matter of jumping right into it, although a couple of the articles I read did say that they felt like it was important to actually get into some of the content at the beginning. But sharing, here are some of the things that we are going to be encountering as we go through this course. And as Suryaga said, getting to know how it's going to apply to them and being able to make those connections for them. And I like how can I support your success? What can I do to help you be successful in this class? And I'm going to reference the mystery box. And again, please post anything that you want to, and Juan will open your mic and let you speak up. So this is, I'm just kind of guide on the side here, but because it's you who have brought to the table some really important ideas. The mystery box idea, and I had not heard this, I love it. Again, this is one that clearly I can see doing in a face-to-face environment, but I can't help but think there's got to be a way to make it work for synchronous or asynchronous too. So think about it as you're listening to this. She indicates that she brings a box in the first day of class, and right at that starting time for class, sets the box on the table, opens it, takes the items out, and these are random items. I'm looking around me here, and there's printer ink, there's markers, there's photographs, there's whatever. It could be a rock, a doll, Post-it notes, whatever. But she just takes the things out, sets them on the table, and doesn't say anything about them. And then when they're all out, puts them back in the box, then asks the students to take out a pencil and paper and write down as many of the items as they can remember. Now think about what all is taking place here. First of all, it starts right at that 9 o'clock hour or whatever time your class is scheduled to start. Anybody who walks in after that is going to know that your intent is to start on time. There may be those students, again, in the face-to-face for sure, who prefer to always go to the back of the classroom, especially some of you that teach in the very large classrooms. And they are going to not be able to see everything. So the message there is, if you want to be a part of the class, maybe you want to move up a little closer. There may also be students who feel like the first day of class, I don't need my pencil, I don't need paper, the teacher's going to tell me everything I need to know. So there again is another important message. And so there's, this can all be addressed with humor, but there is certainly some important implications. And what she says is that she then repeats the process. I don't know how many times one would want to do that, but we all know that once we have an idea what's going on, then we're going to be more focused on it. This is also a part of that retrieval practice. This is what we did. This is how it works out. And then, and according to what she said in her article, she talks to them about ways that they would think about those items and how they would group them. And she said that, at various times in the semester, she'll have the students just write down what was in the box. And for the most part, they remembered it. I love that. I love that. Okay, so Nancy, can you want to unmute Nancy's mic so that she can share that with us? I love that idea.
I just wanted to share that, just as another idea. I know that I learned this from one of the professors I work with, is using a treasure hunt activity. And you could do it for your fully online as well as face-to-face. I've used it for my syllabus. I've used it for a major project where it had, a capstone kind of thing that went throughout the semester, just to make sure from the get-go they actually read what this is about and everything that that project entails. And it's actually fun, and it kind of makes it clear on the policies or how you're running your course.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the articles I read indicated that, we're talking college students here, and we know that they should be able to read. So they suggested just putting a few key points about the syllabus, maybe with a page number, and then coming back to it perhaps the next week, or having them use another Post-it note or a Padlet with a question. What questions did you have? Or how is this impacted? So great ideas. Thank you. And thank you for sharing, and continue to post in a Padlet. Now, let me see. Oh, okay. Here we go. So here's just some guidelines for you as the guide on the side, which is the direction that we'd like to feel ourselves moving. Let your passion and let your personality come through. The use of icebreakers. Most of what we've talked about would come in the category of icebreakers. I like to have an icebreaker at the start of every single session. It often has something to do with the content for that session, but it may not. And I always ask them to get up and interact with each other, but making sure that you are timely, respectful, you provide caring feedback, and let them know that those interactions are going to be really, really important. And that is bringing in the wisdom from some of our favorite sources. Now, I know Nicole is on this with us, and I have discovered that when she's getting ready to share something with me and she's not sure how I'm going to respond to it, she will either mention Dr. DeRusso or Michelle Pacansky-Brock, because there are two people that I strongly admire in the field. And she knows if she brings those names in, I will be more inclined to think about it. So what I wanted to do is share with you some of the things from both of them today. And these two things from Michelle Pacansky-Brock are things that we have shared before, but I wanted to remind you of them and share them with you again. This being a learning partner of PACT. This is a community that we are sharing together for the length of this semester. And what she recommends is one part of it with what you can expect from me. And then the other part is what I expect from you. And I will be sharing all of this with everybody, so you will have access to this information as well. But it's a really valuable piece to know that, make sure that your students know that I have expectations of myself that I will be bringing to you, what you can expect from me, and what I will expect from you throughout this process. So that's one of the things from her. This one is another one that we have shared before, and it is a part of a pretty extended infographic that she uses. But being a facilitator in a class, your presence, your how you interact with the students, how you provide them with the information about you, empathy. And we have really had the opportunity over this past year to practice empathy with our students, because yes, we have been going through a lot, and our students have been as well. I think I could probably safely say that for the most part, our students have been really impacted. So we need to show that empathy for them and the awareness of who they are and what their needs are. So, and we strongly recommend, we've done some sessions on doing student surveys with them and keeping them in the loop, knowing what all they have. The idea of learning communities is a tool that Dr. Lisa really got us going in that direction of the value of looking at our time together as being sharing a part of a community, that it is centered on our learners. It has a focus on the knowledge, how we assess both low types of assessment as well as those high important ones, and that it is a community. We share in this together. And I have one other item from Dr. Lisa that where she was talking at one point about the use of exemplars. And when we are creating assignments for them, we want them to see and know an example of a well done product, so that they know what the expectation is. And so I am going to take us back. Yes, I will definitely be sharing everything that we have done with this today, and be sharing with you. Thank you for asking that, Nancy. Yeah, definitely, for sure. The learning pact, as well as some of the articles that I have used as a resource. So now let's go in and see what we have. Oh my. Okay. What we have posted and we are almost there, in our some new things I want to try. Sharing more about our passion for the content. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Finnegan. So that is well appreciated. More interactive, and asking about occupations and what they do and how they see that happening. Great, absolutely. And you may keep this link and come back into it. I'm going to scoot back out so I can show you. We have all of a minute here. I'm going to ask you to take 30 seconds of that minute and actually with pencil and paper write down something from this session that sticks in your mind and how you might use that. That's again, this is part of retrieval practice, and we will probably be talking more about retrieval practices as we go through, because it's a different perspective on how we learn and how we keep that information. So please take just a few seconds to write down a couple of things that you feel like are important. I'm not going to ask you to share them. This is your own personal reflection. And so here's my message for you. You've got this. And I know from the people that are here is that you are definitely caring. You are caring faculty, and your students just want to know that there is someone, whether it's in the room with them or on the other side of the computer, who cares about them. So I'm going to give you a preview of coming attractions. Next week, Nicole will be taking a look at the effective use of case studies in your classes. The following Monday is a university holiday. And then the following Monday, we're going to invite you and your friends to join us in a session where we introduce you to our latest update in our teaching pedagogy and practice workshop. And so with that, I'm going to thank you for your sharing today. Thank you for being with us and for what you are doing, your dedication to your students, to your student success, and for being just some really amazing people that we are blessed to have being a part of our community. But I also want to thank you for joining today. Thank you so much.